What's up guys, it's your boy Rabner, and today I'm going to be showing you how to turn a building like this into an abandoned sort of looking building like this. So as you can see, obviously it's got quite a lot of different elements you might want to learn about, so I'll be going over all of that in this video. So just before we get into it, my friends have made me a Discord server, so I will be putting that in the description, and I've also just expanded into some different social media platforms, which I'll also put in the description and will be in my about section on my channel. So I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get right into turning this building into an abandoned one. Right then guys, so our first step is to decide where the building is going to have sort of collapsed. So as you can see, we've got this other one here just so we know what it looks like. And as you can see, it's a pretty large building, so we've got quite a lot of choice of where we want it to sort of have mainly collapsed. I'm going to choose this corner sort of over here. So obviously you could use TNT, but I wouldn't recommend it. But what you kind of want to do is just break sort of like a hole in this sort of area down here and try to get it just like down to like a realistic sort of place that you think it could have like collapsed by. So I'm just going to say it's going to have gone down there, and all you need to do is just sort of like break it going up to like that point, or like just sort of going out from there, so it looks like there's been like a structural failure in that area that makes it sort of makes sense for this area to sort of like collapse. Right then, so as you can see, we've now got a fairly large sort of like area here, but we just need to add in some extra sort of like breaking, like just around here. Maybe what we want to do is sort of build up the rest of the areas, because as you can see here, this roof is sort of like, I haven't really done anything inside it, but I have done interior for the other bits. So what you want to do is you just want to look at this and think, what other parts should I break? What would like realistically make sense? You probably still want a little bit at the bottom just to make it sort of make sense. And there we go. So that's the first sort of like major breakage in our building. And what you want to do is you want to sort of like make sure there's no like glass left or anything like that, because the glass would be the first thing to sort of be destroyed. So you just want to break all the glass, make sure it sort of looks like it would make sense, get rid of any light, so we can get rid of these bits here. And as you can see, that looks pretty interesting, but it doesn't really look, it just sort of looks like you've blown a hole in it. So what you want to do is you want to get sort of like other blocks of this, and you want to go around the edges with sort of like slabs and stairs and stuff. So obviously in this one we've got stone bricks, so we want to get some, instead of doing those we want to use cobblestone to just show that it's been a bit more like broken around the edges, because you want to make it look like it's sort of been worn down and that it's been sort of here for a while. So if we just quickly get some cobblestone stairs, then we can start sort of like building around the edge of it. So if we just place a full block here, all you want to do is you just want to make it sort of look like it's been collapsed for quite a long time, and that like the edges of it have sort of broken down. You want to get rid of like a lot of the glass that's left, make it look like bits have sort of fallen down in it, and just sort of build it up around the edges to make it fit. Obviously with the floors you want them to sort of like look like they've been a bit broken sort of around the things, so all you need to do is you just want to sort of put them going along like this, like they've sort of been thinned out and sort of weathered down. And what you also want to do is sort of be aware of different resources. So obviously in this build we've got a second layer of terracotta, so I'm just going to use what's it called, granite for this. So you just want to use a lot of sort of granity blocks. So like this, you can obviously use some different colours as just to make it look alright. And what you want to do is you just want to build it sort of going up, sort of in the direction that you've been doing it. Try and sort of like make it look like it's a natural sort of break. So we just do this. Obviously that looks pretty good, and all you want to do here is just sort of maybe mix in some different blocks like the side, because obviously we've got these grey concrete blocks here, and you just want to make it look like it's darker around the edges. So now that we've done that, all we need to do is just sort of like build it up like this. Something you can do if you want is you can like add in blocks sort of like going up here, so like fences. So obviously I'd recommend looking up pictures of abandoned buildings and like the inside of buildings. So what you obviously there's sort of like things like fence, well, sort of like planks and stuff going inside it. So you want to leave a few of those there, have a few sort of going along, so it looks like sort of like base is still there, and that it's still sort of like somewhat built up. So now we can just carry on doing this. Try to make it look like it's not just like floating, like give it a bit of like reason to be there. So if we do it like that. Another thing you can obviously do is you can sort of like add parts like on the floor. So for example, we can have some sort of like bits lying down here, sort of on the ground at the bottom. We can have some sort of like wreckage, just sort of like lying around here, just built up. Make it sort of somewhat look natural. Obviously you can mix in some stone bricks and stuff to make it look like it's actually a part of the building and not just like completely wreckage. So let's just do that, and obviously as you can see it now looks pretty interesting. So what you may want to do is sort of create like an inner roof here, so you can just sort of like have it go up a little bit, have sort of like gaps. Obviously in this case there'll probably be some sort of like ways to hold it up made out of a spruce wood. So if we just get some spruce wood here, then we can just have like one of those sort of like lying down, going sort of down like that. So if we just do make this go all the way down, sort of like that, then it will sort of look like some of it has been sort of like held up, but it's sort of fallen down, and you probably want to make it sort of going along sort of like that. Maybe you can have like other bits of the building sort of like hanging off, sort of like that, so it sort of just looks like it's sort of collapsed in on itself. Obviously you want to add sort of like other things as we've done before, just on the sort of walls and stuff. You want to probably remove all the doors because there's no way that they'd be there. If we just break all of this, break all of the lantern, and as you can see this looks like pretty wrecked. It doesn't really look like anyone's been here for a while. Obviously there are other things you can do, so you can obviously put sort of signs on the windows to sort of like make them look like they're boarded up. You can obviously break windows. Obviously, yeah, just breaking windows like that, make it look like they're a bit abandoned. Stuff like that. You get some different types of glass perhaps, so obviously you can mix in some different colours, so we can mix in some lighter greys, sort of in with them. Sort of make it look like the glass is sort of like shattered. Sort of like that. And just make it look like it's sort of been sort of boarded up, stopped from being like used by people. Yeah, so all you want to do is just break a bunch of the glass, sort of add in signs and trapdoors. You obviously want to make it overgrown, but we'll do that a bit later. Obviously completely break some windows, add in sort of like look like the windows sort of collapse in on themselves like this, sort of build up the foliage sort of like this, just running down the building like it's sort of been left to grow however it's wanted to for quite a while. Make like little holes in the roof. Obviously there's the main one, but we also want sort of like smaller parts here. So if we just do something like that, and that will just sort of add to how the thing looks. There's a little bit extra there, just like that. Right then guys, so as you can see, we're just going into fully time-lapse now, as there wasn't really anything else you needed to see in first person. There's pretty much just repeating all the stuff we've done before with the walls and the stairs, and just adding leaves and stuff. So as you can see, we're just going around, adding in like different sort of like blocks falling off, sort of going down, putting on the floor. What you want to aim for is it to somewhat look like every single block is still in the building, but just sort of like somewhere else or like broken down. Obviously you can't do that a lot of the time because obviously you don't have enough blocks, or you can't really say exactly how much it is. But as you can see here, we are putting like planks on the floor and stuff like that, but it's not completely out of like, it's not completely crazy to think that like people could have stolen materials, they could have been broken down into like practically nothing. So obviously that's not a rule you have to keep to. So right now we're just adding in extra details such as the leaves and stuff like that. You just want to have them going down like for buildings, just making them look more interesting. Obviously adding like clumps of rocks at the bottom. On the inside you want to obviously break it all up, remove pretty much all the light, which looks especially good with the shaders. But obviously you can use like torches and stuff, just make it look like a homeless person is living there, or a squatter. And that can just light it up if you're obviously making this in survival, even though I don't really see why you'd want to. So as you can see, we're just going through it, we're just changing all the rooms, making the walls a little bit more sort of decrepit, adding in sort of like breaking the windows. Obviously, as you can see, we're just going through all of that, breaking the doors. As you can see, the building does look pretty good at the moment. I think it looks really cool. We're just obviously adding in the boards over the windows, which, yeah, I think they look really nice. That's definitely a staple feature of this sort of style of the boards over the windows to cover them up, especially if they're broken. And as you can see, it's looking pretty nice. If you can kind of see the other one, like the other building, and they do look really cool. So, as you can see, we're just sort of turning around, having a look at the rest of the build, where we're adding on a lot of the like vines and leaves now. Obviously, they're a bit more bushy with the texture pack I'm using, but it still has sort of the same effect if you just use like normal ones, which look pretty nice. Right then, so as you can see, we're just sort of coming to the end of it, adding in those final details, removing all the light sources. Just adding in some final leaves coming down, and it's looking pretty nice, I think. I mean, I've already said that a few times, but I really think that this can look really nice, especially with the shaders. And if you just have like in a village, you just have one sort of like ruined building, it really adds to the atmosphere and just makes it look a lot cooler. So we're just going around, adding in final details. As you can see, we're putting some grass into the floor, just to make it look a bit more overgrown. Obviously, it will look better with moss in the new update. But yeah, I think it looks pretty nice. So, that's pretty much it. And I'll be going in sort of like a first-person view of what it looks like right now. So, let's get right into that. Right, so as you can see, the house, well, the building is now fully ruined, and as you can see, it does look very sort of like broken and destroyed, and I think it looks really good, especially sort of like this, with the shaders on, and it just sort of accentuates how dark the inside is. So as you can see, we have added a few more sort of details, like paintings, sort of as graffiti. Obviously it's covered in leaves, and all that does is just sort of make it look like it's overgrown, and that obviously no one's taking care of it. I've just messed up the walls a little bit more, sort of like cobblestone and stuff, and as you can see, it's obviously all sort of like covered in stuff. And yeah, so obviously going inside, on the floor there's just a load of sort of like debris, and I've added some sort of like graffiti and stuff to the walls, because obviously I'm sure kids and stuff will be exploring these abandoned buildings. Obviously it's very dark in here. We've tried to remove as much light as possible. Just sort of looking through it, as you can see, there's a lot of like areas that you can see through, fall down in, just like that. And obviously it's just a very sort of decrepit and sad kind of looking build. So obviously some parts are a little bit sort of less like leafy than others, obviously less decrepit. But what you kind of want to do is just to sort of make like a main area where it's decrepit, and then a lot of like smaller areas where it's also like that, just as I mentioned in the time lapse. So obviously this can be applied in different ways to a lot of different buildings. This is a sort of a good way to go about it. But obviously it won't work for all buildings, so for a lot of them you might want to sort of go about in different ways, sort of adding different blocks. Some of them obviously don't have wall variants, but a lot of them do, and this looks really cool for that. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this was interesting on how to make a building sort of look abandoned, and how to sort of make it look like no one's been there for a while. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.